The house is frozen solid. Why did you lock the door? You should have left it open when the neighborhood children could come in and play. There is no hint of heat anywhere. It's like a block of ice. Nobody has swept the snow away, even though it snows so much. The yard is dazzling white. Icicles are hanging everywhere possible. When the children were growing up, they would break off the icicles and have sword fights. I suppose nobody is looking in because I'm not here. It's been a long time since anyone dropped by. Your motorcycle is propped up in the shed, and it's frozen solid too. I wish you'd stop riding that motorcycle. Who rides a motorcycle at your age? Do you think you're still young? There goes my habitual nagging once more. Then again, you looked strapping on your motorcycle, not like a man from the country. When you were young and rode into town on the motorcycle, hair pomaded, wearing a leather jacket, everyone turned to look. I think there's a picture from that time somewhere in the frame above the door of the master bedroom. Oh, there it is. It was taken when you weren't very yet 30 years old. Your face is filled with passion. That's not the case now. I remember the first house we lived in before we rebuilt. I really loved that house. Although now that I've said love, I don't think it was only love. We lived 40 odd years in that house that doesn't exist anymore. I was always in that house. Always. You were there and not there. I didn't hear from you, as if you would never come back. But then you would return. Maybe that's why I can see the old house in front of me as if it's illuminated. I remember everything, all the things that happened in that house, the things that happened during the years when the children were born, the way I waited for you and forgot about you and hated you and waited for you again. Now the house is left behind by itself. There's nobody here, and only the white snow is guarding the yard. A house is such a strange thing. Everything else gets more worn the more people handle it. And sometimes you can feel a person's poison if you get too close to him. But that's not what happens to a house. Even a good house falls apart quickly when nobody comes in. A house is alive only when there are people living in it, brushing against it, staying in it. Look at this. One end of the roof has collapsed because of the snow. In the spring, you'll have to call the people who fix roofs. There's a sticker with the name and number of the roof people in the television cabinet in the living room, but I don't know if you know about it. If you call them, they'll come and take care of it. You can't leave the house empty like this in the winter. Even if nobody is living here, you have to come and turn the boiler on once in a while. Did you go to Seoul? Are you looking for me there? This room where I put the books Jihan sent down when she went to Japan is cold too. The books look frozen solid. After she sent the books here, this became my favorite room in the house. When I could tell that my head was going to hurt, I came in here and lay down. At first, it seemed like I would get better. I didn't want to tell you that I was in pain. Then, as soon as I opened my eyes, The pain rushed at me, and I couldn't even cook for you, but I didn't want you to see me as ill. That made me lonely many times. I would go into the room with the books and lie down. One day, holding my pounding head, I promised myself that I would read at least one book that she wrote before she came back home from Japan. And I went to learn how to read, still holding my head. I couldn't continue. When I tried to learn to read, my condition quickly got worse. I was lonely because I couldn't tell you that I was trying to learn to read. It would have hurt my pride to say something like that. When I learned to read, I wanted to do one more thing besides reading my daughter's book with my own eyes. I write a farewell letter to every person in the family before I became like this. The wind is blowing so hard. The wind is rolling the snow in the yard and shifting it around. Summer nights when we set out the brazier and made steamed buns were the best times we had in this yard. Hyungchul would collect compost and make a fire to protect us from mosquitoes. The younger ones would flop onto the platform and wait for the steamed buns to finish cooking in the pot on the brazier. When I made a whole pot of buns and set them out on a wicker tray, hands would shoot out and the buns would all be gone. I took less time for the children to eat them than for me to steam them. As I put kindling in the brazier, I would look at the children lying on the platform together, waiting for another batch of buns, and it frightened me a little how they could eat. Even though the fire was lit, the mosquitoes stuck incessantly to my arms and thighs and sucked my blood. And as the night became darker, the children ate all the buns and waited for more. While I kept steaming them, there were summer nights then. One by one, they fell asleep stretched over one another, waiting for the buns to cook. While they were sleeping, I would finish steaming the rest of the buns, put them in a basket, cover it, leave it on the platform, and go to sleep. The dawn dew slightly hardened the outside of the steamed buns. As soon as they woke up, the children would pull the basket towards them and eat some more. That's why my children still look cold steamed buns, and the outside slightly hardened. There were summer nights like that. Summer nights with stars pouring down from the sky. When I was wandering the streets, I couldn't remember anything and my head was fuzzy, but I missed this place a lot. You don't know how much I missed it here, this yard, under the porch, the flower garden, the well. After wandering a while, I sat down on the street and drew in the dirt what came to mind, and it was the house. I drew the gate, I drew the flower garden, I drew the ledge of clay jars, I drew the porch. I couldn't remember anything except that house, the house that was here long before this house, that house that had disappeared a long time ago, that house with the traditional kitchen and the backyard shaded by butterbur leaves and the shed next to the pigsty. Those blue galvanized iron gates, their paint peeling, the gates of that house with a smaller gate inserted in the left one, and the post box to its right. There were only a few times that both gates needed to be opened, but the smaller inset gate with a wooden handle was always open to the alley. We never locked our doors, even if we weren't at home. The neighborhood children came in through the inset gate and played until the sun set. During the busy farming season, my young daughter would come home from school, climb on the bicycle on its stand under the persimmon tree in the yard, empty the people, and pedal. When I came home, she would be sitting on the edge of the porch and jump into my arms, shouting, "Mother!" When my second son ran away from home, I left food out for him in the warmest part of the room and kept both big doors of the gate wide open. When someone tripped over the rice bowl and caused it to spill, I righted it. If I woke up in the middle of the night because of the wind, I would go outside and prop the doors open with heavy rocks in case the wind closed them. My eyes and ears were trained on the gate every time it made a noise. The wardrobe is frozen solid too. The doors don't even open, but it should be empty. When my head started to hurt so badly, I wanted to go to that man I hadn't seen in a long time. I thought maybe I would get better if I did, but I didn't go. I pressed down my desires to go and went through my things. I could feel that it was approaching, the day when I wouldn't be able to recognize anything because I would be numb. I wanted to take care of all my things while I could still recognize them. I wrapped in a cloth the clothes I didn't wear, which I'd hung in the wardrobe, unable to throw them out, and burned them in the fields. The underclothes that Hyungchul bought me with his first paycheck had been in the wardrobe for decades, with the tags still on. When I was burning them, my head felt like it would split in half. I burned everything I could, except the blankets and pillows which the children could use when they came home for the holidays. I burnt the cotton blankets that my mother had made for me when I got married. I took out everything I'd spent a long time with and looked at it all again. The things I never used because I was saving them. The dishes I collected to give my elder daughter when she got married. If I'd known that she wasn't going to get married, even though her younger sister is married and has 3 children, I would have given them to my younger daughter. I stupidly thought I had to give them to Jihan because I'd planned to give them to her. I hesitated and took them outside and smashed them to pieces. I knew that one day I wouldn't remember anything, and before that happened, I wanted to take care of everything I'd ever used. I didn't want to leave anything behind. All the bottom cupboards are empty too. I broke everything that was breakable and buried it all.